right, everybody. Welcome back to the Tiki Bar. Today, we are delighted to be joined by Veronica Kilgore. She is a revenue operations manager at Fuel Cycle. She's in Atlanta, Georgia. Veronica, thank you so much for doing this. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to chat with you about RevOps life and everything else in between.
Absolutely. We ask the same first question to every guest. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Actually, I wanted to be on Broadway.
On
I love
Broadway.
singing. I don't dance. I was acting for, school plays and stuff. So Broadway kind of was a goal for me when I was growing up.
Did you have a favorite performance or a character that you felt you really resonated with during your acting career?
No, not really. It really was everything and anything under the sun. I grew up in the Philippines, and in the Philippines, a lot of singers and dancers and actors. It was just a big part of our culture. So yeah, it was just like such a natural fit just because it's working, but I get to do something I really like to do and enjoy it.
Do you still get a chance to sing?
No, in the shower at karaoke.
Both of those are good. It's nice to have a karaoke song that you can go to. So whether it was growing up in the Philippines or when you eventually came here, what was the first paying job that you ever remember having?
Yeah, it's sort of recent. So I moved from the Philippines to the United States in 2012. And in 2013, my very first paying job was a line server at Chipotle, actually.
Really? Nice.
Yeah.
I'm a big Chipotle fan. I would imagine that you learned a lot about customer service efficiency at Chipotle.
Exactly. And it was one of those things where you have to act fast. And it was like at the height of Chipotle boom. So everyone was lining up and there was constant people through it. So I learned a lot of lessons in talking to people, customers, and being efficient as a line person.
What are you supposed to do when someone asks you for like extra meat or extra something? What are you like actually allowed to do?
It was definitely a, company policy to not give it. But I think, the human in me kind of is just like, okay, sure, I'll give you a little bit. So I was generous.
That's good. The statute of limitations is up, so I think you're okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Chipotle.
What brought you from the Philippines to the States?
Yeah, so I had family here. Actually, like a huge chunk of my relatives were already here. My grandma was the one that petitioned us to get here. So my dad, my brother, and I moved all together in 2012.
What was that like? You're a kid. You're coming over to a new country, new life. You have some family, but I would imagine that's an intense moment.
Yes, very intense. But I think my point of view is a little different from the typical story, like immigrant story. I actually wanted to come here. I was excited. Just America is the land of the free. I know how cliche that sounds, but it truly was. And I believe that there was a lot more opportunities in here than back home. Which turned out really, really well. So I'm glad I'm here. And I wouldn't be here if not for my grandmother and my father's sacrifice bringing us over here.
Absolutely. So how did you end up at Georgia Tech?
Yeah. So I moved to Georgia. I moved to Georgia. I have a cousin that already went to Georgia Tech. But most of my other cousins actually went to UGA. So only one at Georgia Tech and the rest at UGA. And I knew UGA had a really good business program, but I also was attracted to the technical side, technology side, more so than like actual business practices itself. And yeah, I got accepted and I thought that I would break away from the pattern. It's kind of like my thing, actually, breaking away from the norm, the pattern, and accepted. And yeah, spent my college there.
And now you have infighting, I'm sure, with your relatives who went to UGA about which school's better.
True. Every Thanksgiving, actually, we have like a Georgia Tech games. We definitely watch it. Even my friends do. It's a good, happy rivalry. It's like a friendly rivalry, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Now, when you get into Georgia Tech, you had this technical bend. Did you know like what you wanted a career to look like at that point? Were you still figuring it out? Like, how would you characterize your vision of the future?
I personally did not know much about other stuff other than like what I learned in Chipotle and with people interactions like that. Being Filipino, I actually was kind of slated or like stereotyped into the healthcare, being a nurse. So it was a very crucial point for me when I got a job or like when I go to college, where am I going to go and what I'm going to take? It's like most of my relatives are either in healthcare or have studied for healthcare. But my dad actually was a businessman. Like growing up, I kind of knew I was like leaning towards that because that's what I, am modeling after. Again, breaking the pattern, went to Georgia Tech. I did not know much about the whole business side, just that I know that I don't want to do healthcare. I'm just going to stick with business. I did not know what in business specifically, but I ended up actually concentrating in marketing. Got an internship in marketing just because it was a little less rigid than like finance or like supply chain. It just felt like I could be more myself, like a creative side can, push through it if needed. So,
The Broadway star could come out a little bit.
Yep.
Now, so you go to Georgia Tech and then you eventually graduate. Can you tell me the story of your first job out of college?
Yeah, this is a very exciting one because I am so ready to leave again. I actually took a job in Arizona. So right after college, actually, I got a job during like my senior year, ready to leave. Yeah, I took a sales job for Yelp in Arizona where I didn't know anyone. I've never done sales before. Don't know what sales is, but I took a leap of faith, put the stuff in my car, shipped it, and one-way ticket to Arizona.
What is that experience like? You've been in the States now for a few years. You have some roots and family in Georgia, and now you're moving cross country, and you don't really know what's coming. Like, what do you remember about that time?
It was a exciting time. I know it's not the norm, but for me, I was ready to take on the world. Coming from the program that I was in, it was just like normal business, but like everyone was so cutthroat. And the jobs in Georgia was very, I won't say saturated, but like there are big companies here. Like you either go to Coke, Home Depot, Delta, like big names in Atlanta. And I wanted, again, to break from the norm and, forge my own path. So it was more excitement rather than being scared. I was excited to build a life of my own, to, experience what it is being like independent, like truly independent, and finding for myself what works and what doesn't work. And so with this job at Yelp, like as I mentioned, it's a sales job, not necessarily the highest paying job, especially entry level sales. I honestly was making peanuts then.
Yeah.
And to be able to live, I needed to make sales. So it was once I got the job and actually in it, the excitement kind of turned into stress. And it was very much a real world, for me to be able to go back home to Georgia for Christmas or for Thanksgiving, I need to actually make sales type of deal.
No, I love that. I mean, I had the same like experience right out of college, cold calling and getting into that whole world of sales. Like, do you remember like your earliest times on the phones or getting into sales? Like, was there a customer experience or a prospect experience where you realized like, I don't know if this is the right thing for me, or maybe it did, it clicked for you right away?
Yeah, so it wasn't a particular moment. It was the entire experience. So I was at Yelp for about a year, and that entire program is just mainly for entry level college students. And I was lucky enough to be in the same boat as most of these people. They were just right out of college from different states, moved there with no one else that they know. So we kind of formed really meaningful friendships. Actually, some of them still are my friends. Some of them went to my wedding. It has fostered friends. But the one thing that we all bond together is our experience, the entire experience at Yelp. For me, that experience was that I actually did not like sales. I hated sales. But I did stick with it for a year. I was barely making quota every month. But what I learned is that I did not like it. I never want to do it again. But I did redirect me into something else. So I knew marketing because I interned for a company back when I was in college. This sales job just wasn't it. And that's actually my first intro to Salesforce, because they were using Salesforce as their CRM. So I knew I would not want to depend my livelihood on making sales, but I wanted to be a part of the revenue generating machine in a company indirectly. So like I was looking at the systems, and actually back when I was interning, I had experience with Microsoft Dynamics CRM already. So like it was kind of leading me to this point of backend. So like just behind the scenes, someone that is ready to help and to support without actually being in the front lines of the sales.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're ready for your stage crew moment off of the Broadway show,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a job as a kind of Salesforce sales operations analyst. How did you get them to accept you? You know, you're a kid out of college, you have some sales experience, but now you're going to be in the systems world.
Yeah, I think because I had the marketing experience from my internship and the sales experience, sales operations role that I took immediately after Yelp was for SkyTouch Technology, which is a Choice Hotels subsidiary. And this person was really sitting in between sales and marketing. So it just felt like the perfect fit just because I have some experience with, like a marketing automation platform. I believe it was like HubSpot that I was using when I was an intern. And then I knew the sales language and the, I don't know, the fast-paced environment of having sales, like from um, cold calling all the way to booking the actual deals. At Yelp, actually, they have like a faster sales cycle. So like a lot of learnings from that time that is now no longer applicable to this one. But I think foundationally, it gave me a purview on what sales does and, you know, how the systems kind of affect a salesperson.
That makes sense. Okay, so you're coming out of the world of sales into the world of systems operations. You know sales isn't for you. What is surprising to you most about the world of operations?
I think it's that it's so vast. Like you can get into deep in each of these like operations as a whole. I used to think that operations was like supply chain and how like physical objects are operated, you know, but you know, like it kind of is now for me in being into systems, being in strategy, insights, and working with cross collaborating with departments and not just being in one team. Yeah, operations is so big. I don't even know how to describe what I do to my friends and family. I just say like, yeah, I don't know, software operations, something like that.
So you're into the world of operations, and at some point it clicks for you. When does it start going from something that you're interested in to, okay, I'm good at this. This is becoming a career path for me?
Yeah, so I think that turning point was definitely at SkyTouch. So I started with having no back end background on Salesforce into closely working with a Salesforce developer that they had in house, working on their systems, working with Pardot, which is their marketing engagement platform, working with the billing team, working with the sales team, their SDR. So like the entire revenue org on that standpoint. And upon that exposure to the different functions of the revenue org, I think I settled with the fact that thank God I'm not doing the sales. Thank God I'm not doing the calling. But here's what I can do. I can help you with your systems. If you have any contract questions, you can ask me because I know now like the back end and like the billing I worked closely with our billing team then. So it got to a point where I was functioning on my own that the next step was like a Salesforce administration course, which I passed. And then from then I controlled the systems and how they all function together. And it seemed like a strength because it felt natural. Like I can switch from working with billing to working with marketing on their engagement studio and nurture track, and then going back to sales and helping them with their contracting questions. So like it was like I was using different languages in my head to talk to these different departments. And there was a name for it. It was operations. And that's how it clicked.
I like that. I like that. That's a good characterization that I hadn't heard before. I would imagine you also had an ability to talk to the actual salespeople, the sales managers, having been in the seat. Is there a time when you remember being able to use that skill of just relating to them and understanding their world?
I think a lot of the times they have a very pressing need to be able to close something or to be able to get to a prospect. And that priority or sense of urgency, I feel like is only apparent if you've been in a salesperson's position, because you as a salesperson would your goal is to make the sale, right? Like you would want that sale. And it's whatever you need you to make the sale, to push it forward, get it to the next step, we're going to be able to do. And that is one thing that I feel like I take in my day to day at RevOps, just because I've been in the shoes of, I have a contract renewal. Like I need to make sure that these, languages and like these numbers are right. In this role, it's very easy to get lost in the multitude of things and avenues within it. But when I hear a salesperson, they have a need for something that concerns a client or a prospect that we're about to close, immediately my salesperson instinct immediately turns on. She's like, all right, what are we going to do? Let's close this out. So yeah, that's something.
I love that. Okay, so you get pretty senior in the world of Salesforce administration and operations, and clearly Phoenix, the city, worked for you. You took a couple different roles from there, and then you go to LA and then to Atlanta for Fuel Cycle. Am I mapping your journey correctly?
Yeah, so I actually was still in Phoenix for Fuel Cycle. I've been working remote since the pandemic. And from Arizona, from Scottsdale is where we lived. I took that job and got married 2 years after. We wanted to stay close to roots. So we're back here. Actually, our second anniversary of being in Atlanta was just a couple of days ago.
Nice. Welcome back. Congrats.
Thank you.
Now, what made Fuel Cycle the right chapter for you?
So I actually thought about this a lot. And if you see my resume, like from when I started or when I finished college, it was like I was at a job a year or so max. And then I would like jump off and then come to Fuel Cycle. I'm going to be here almost 5 years now. So I feel like it's a testament to what Fuel Cycle has provided me in terms of opportunity in my role, in the challenges that I'm being faced with, the breadth of systems of like operations, processes that I own, the people I work with, the leadership, the managers that stand behind me and my work, but also compensation and the fact that I get to work from home.
Absolutely. That's excellent. Now, what about the world of RevOps is most energizing to you right now?
I think I know it's a buzzword. I'm sorry, but it really just has been a game changer for me in terms of productivity and the things that I can tap into in such a short amount of time. I personally have just myself and another RevOps associate, and we've really just used the tools, the AI tools that we have available to kind of, really extend our reach, extend how we are able to support, automate and take some stuff off of our plate, and also think further. With the advent of AI, we just have a wealth of information. And I actually akin it to I can compare it to being bitten by a radioactive spider and it just got superpowers all of a sudden. Like I know how to do this and I know how to do that and whatnot. It's just helped me. So I think I still have so much to learn. I feel like I'm already behind and it just released, I don't know, however many years ago. But yeah, very excited on what's next there.
Is there a specific workflow or something that you've solved using AI that you're most proud
The
of?
biggest one for right now is having a RevOps bot. We at Fuel Cycle are provisioned with our own ChatGPT license and Claude license, or ChatGPT to begin with, but it's able to make like a RevOps bot where I took all 4 years of my knowledge of the things, how I work with people, and I use it as a starter for this knowledge bot or RevOps bot, which is now the first line of support. They can chat with it. It's going to tell them whatever is in my brain anyway. And it's ever, always on. So it took a lot of the, hey, Veronica, can you do this? Like, what's this process about? Like, what's our pricing on this? Like a lot of the mental load, and to replace it with something systematic that they can always count on. So very proud of that. I have a lot more in store for whatever AI can help with, especially now that Claude has co-work. So more to come there.
Yeah, No doubt. What is your biggest challenge that you're facing right now? What's top of mind for you?
So one is that I have so much to do still. There's so much left to do. I feel like every time I close a project, a task, there's another one popping up, even with AI. And I know like it's a productivity booster. It just gives me another reason to like tap on something else. And it's just like, ooh, something shiny. Like I'm going to go explore that and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that I'm uncovering. A lot of continuous learning that I have to do because of the fast paced environment, but also like getting to know the strategy and insights of RevOps a little bit more. I've been in the system side a lot, and I kind of want to flip that and focus more on the strategy, seeing the entire picture. I think my next step would be to really get into the theory and what is not just behind the scenes in terms of systems, but also like in the ways of thinking and really making a decision for our leaders, being a better strategic partner for our leaders.
That makes a lot of sense from an evolutionary standpoint. What would you say has changed the most about your approach from Veronica coming out of college, cold calling at Yelp to where you are today?
I was very reactive, I want to say, person that typically was ready to solve band-aid solutions, stopgap, quick fixes, not really looking at what it affects. So I was letting the motions take me in terms of like what needs to be fixed right now. Veronica now, I feel like has a lot more like purpose in pausing and looking at the bigger picture, what things affect, how it affects other people and other systems, other processes, and really just more insight into how people take systems changes process when they're being told about it. So I think I've matured in a way that not that I'm more self-aware, but also have a lot more foresight now that I have gone through the different jobs that I've had.
What advice would you give to Veronica from the Yelp days?
Yeah, I want to say confidence. I feel like early on in my career, and honestly, really even last year, I really wasn't confident in my work and in what I can do. I think that if I had worked on that, I probably would have made sales a lot more. I would have hit my quota and be further along in my career. But I do think that it is a blessing, and I'm glad that I at least had that epiphany already that I needed more confidence and that I am capable because I'm happy with what I have right now, and I'm just energized and motivated to see what else I can do next.
I love that. What is a piece of content? It could be a book, movie, show, podcast, anything that you find yourself recommending to everyone. And bonus points if it's not business related. This is a very selfish question for me to just get good recommendations.
Yeah, no, just to tie it back to what I did want to become when I was growing up. So my recommendation, and it's just very recent because I watched it like on the 13th. It's this play called Every Brilliant Thing by Daniel Radcliffe. I went to New York for a RevOps conference, and I snuck out like on the last day to go watch this play. Actually, not snuck out. I actually went after the conference, making sure that it's there. I did not, I put my time in that conference. Anyway, so I watched this play, and I grew up with Harry Potter. And so it's been, a dream of mine to meet him. And in this play, Daniel Radcliffe is actually a one-man show play. So he's the only one in there, and it's more of a audience participation kind of play. And I got stage tickets, stage seats. So he had people on the stage with him. So I was very excited, and I came up to go sit in my seat, and he was there at the stage, like the beginning of the stage, just saying hi to people and introducing himself as if we didn't know who he was. And that to me was very jarring because I didn't know that it was going to be this close. I shook his hand twice. And essentially what he does is he would talk to you and ask you if you want to be a part of the show. He would give you like a card that has a line in it. If you have a card, he will call on you during the show, and then you get to say your part. I was one of the lucky people that got one of the cards, and in my stage seat on Broadway, I was able to say a couple of lines. So very, very outworldly experience that one, I get to meet a hero of mine I grew up with. Two, the play itself is actually amazing. Like it's actually talks about real things. But three, that I sort of did make it to Broadway.
You did. I love that. We're full circle. Do you remember what your lines were?
Yes, it's called, it really is just Things with Stripes is the line.
Things with Stripes.
Yep, and I had to say it twice. Very memorable. I'm trying to go back there again because it wasn't like, it was life changing for me. It really taught me the meaning of value because I paid like $400 for those seats. To some people, it's probably very expensive. To me, it was enough because I was going to see, justifiable because I was going to see a hero of mine growing up in person, right? And it turned out to be this amazing experience. I had the awesomest luck being able to, talk to him and actually get a part. So that is my recommendation. Please go see it. It's life changing, not just because you're going to see Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe in real life, but also because the story is actually compelling. It just provides like a different lens into what we do in life and why we live and how we should live going forward.
That's a great note to end on. Veronica, thank you so much for your time today. We'll look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.